Hello, I'm Idiss. I'm a born-again Christian. Join me every Sunday 9 to 10 p.m. on Go Gospel. Go Gospel is a program that brings to you gospel artists to showcase the music and bless you with ministration as we spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. Make it a date with me, Idiss, on Go Gospel every Sunday 9 to 10 p.m. on Star Television, Channel 21.
To watch me fly.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Go Gospel. Today I have with me Pastor Idiss J. Wright Samura, the senior pastor of Greater Evangelism World Crusade Ministry, and he's going to tell us about his ministry life and what they have for us in store. And also I have with me Minister Sahr Tengbeh. He's a gospel music minister that also want to come out with a wonderful worship night of praise. He's going to tell us about his music career and music life, and also about how the worship night is going to be. Stay blessed and stay put to Go Gospel as we bring you more and more updates on gospel ministry.
Jehovah, Brother Lugan, alongside Pastor Ali. Praise the Lord when the morning comes. Praise the Lord when the evening comes. Praise the Lord when the morning comes. Praise the Lord when the evening comes. Praise Him every day, every day. Praise Him every day, every day. From the rising of the sun to the going of the same. Praise Him every day, every day. Oh yeah. Trust the Lord with all of your heart and lean not your own understand. And all your way need for acknowledge He shall direct your path and your way. Thank Him, love Him, praise Him. I will praise Him. Thank Him, love Him, praise Him. I will praise Him. I'll praise the Lord for what He has done. I'll thank the Lord for changing my life. I'll pray, go to church every Sunday, give thanks and praise to the Almighty God. I love Him, praising, thanking, blessing, till the day, till night, till the eve. I love Him, praising, blessing, thanking. You deserve all the praise. Praise the Lord when the morning comes. Praise the Lord when the evening comes. Praise the Lord when the morning comes. Praise the Lord when the evening comes. Praise Him every day, every day. Praise Him every day, every day. From the rising of the sun to the going of the same. Praise Him every day, every day.
Welcome, Pastor Idiss J. Wright Samura.
Thank you, sir.
And also Minister Sahr Tengbeh, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Pastor Wright Samura, we want to know who is Pastor Wright Samura, because for a long time we have known you in the ministry of God, but people want to know how it come about being a man of God, being who you are today in the ministry.
Thank you for inviting me to come to your program. Well, my name is Evangelist Idiss J. Wright Samura. I'm an evangelist by calling, and by the grace of God, the national minister and the senior pastor of Greater Evangelism World Crusade, that is located at number 8 Edel Street, off Cambridge Street, Freetown. And by God's grace, I've been a child of this ministry and grew up in the ministry because God called me. While I was coming up, I sensed the calling of God upon my life when I was a teenager, and then because of that calling which I sensed, I gave my whole life and whole heart to God in ministry. So I've been in ministry for a very long time.
How many years did you sense this calling of God?
It's over 19 years now.
Starting a ministry life, they say it's not an easy task or an easy job. How do you find it being in the ministry? Is it difficult?
Firstly, let me say that ministry is a calling. The Bible says, no man taketh this honor unto himself except he that is called. Ministry is not an ambition. Ministry is not just a desire. Ministry should be a calling. And when God calls you, He empowers you for ministry. I know ministry has challenging times because what we are called to do is a highly spiritual assignment. But God who calls gives the grace to fulfill the calling. So there has been challenging times, obviously, but the grace of God has been sufficient enough to help fulfill the ministry for which God has called.
Let's talk about evangelism. I see you are an evangelist. What has been your role in bringing souls that are perishing, souls that want to know the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ? What has been your role in making that these souls come to Jesus?
Thank you. Firstly, you must understand that Jesus came to seek and to save that which was lost. And so ministry is all about the salvation of souls. And so being in ministry and being an evangelist, my passion is to see lives being saved, the kingdom of hell being depopulated, and God's kingdom being populated by reaching out to the lost, preaching the gospel of God, of Jesus Christ, and bringing men out of darkness into light. And so that has been my passion, that has been my drive, and that is my calling.
Okay. When you're doing this evangelism, do you monitor or evaluate the souls that you bring to Christ? See that they did not only come for once, but they come and stay.
Interestingly, I'm not just an evangelist, but also I'm a pastor.
Okay.
So evangelist is my major calling, and also the pastoral ministry is my minor calling. And so we go out and reach out to people, bring them to the church and get them established. It is the will of God for those who are saved to remain. Jesus said that we should bear fruit and that the fruit should remain. So it's not just going out to reach out to people. We go out and reach out to them, but when they come in, we must ensure they are established, they are discipled, they are taught basic things about the kingdom of God and enable them to grow.
Let me just only a little bit. Minister Tengbeh, Pastor Wright, Samura is talking about when you go to evangelize, make sure that you monitor the souls, make sure that they come to stay and not. What has been the role of music ministers in evangelism?
Well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you to you. And it has been a long time. I haven't seen my brother around, but thank God now he's in Freetown. One of the things that music did to evangelism, music changed the mindset of people. You know, there's one thing that I know about music is like, if you don't want to be part, like let's say Pastor Idiss is making a program now, but if Pastor Idiss has a very good team that can do worship that brings the presence of God to the auditorium, you know, people will be at their home by what is happening from the first day. Somebody will say, "Oh, I've been blessed by the worship concert, by the worship, the choir ministers. I've been touched. There's some that was feeling pain, but after the choir minister, before the man of God took the pulpit, I just feel relief." So one of the essence about evangelism, worship is good. That's why if you have been to Terila with George, Pastor Alim just did a worship concert at Meta Conference, or called it High Praise. Now he's taking the worship concert outdoor, junction to junction. It's captivate the mind of people who don't want to be part in church, because sometimes people say prayer is boring and this is boring, but music is not boring. Music is one thing in life. Even if you are boring, music takes you to that place of boringness to happiness.
Okay, but what about now? You as music minister, sometimes you feel that evangelism is only based on the pastor. We are not responsible for evangelism. You understand? Sometimes music minister just be lackadaisical about the things of God. They don't concentrate that this is my ministry. This ministry, we are second pastor. You understand? We bring down the presence of God. You understand? So what should we say about that?
Thank you. This is what always I said to my colleagues. You know, they only feel that if you're a worshiper, you are just there to sing. But that's the mistakes. I'm a worshiper. I go to evangelism. I went out to people to evangelize. I'm a worshiper. I have an home cell in my house, teaching the word of God. I'm a worshiper, right? I went out. We do. I'm a worshiper. I play keyboard in my church. So I'm a worshiper. There are plenty of things I did, but some people just feel that the only thing that I need to do is that I need to just like sing in church. After every Sunday, I went to church, and like at the time for praise and worship, I went to the stage and do what I'm called to do. No, but there's more to it than we think. That's why I tell people, maybe sometimes the thing that pisses me off about worshippers, they think that prayer is not good for a worshipper. They just believe that I can practice 2 hours, then I can pray 5 hours. But it is very, very wrong, because the source of you being a worshipper, the source of you being a pastor, the source of you being an evangelist is prayer. If a worshipper cannot pray, you are just causing noise. If a worshipper cannot fast, you are just causing noise. So always I tell people that, listen, I prefer to practice 10 minutes and pray 1 hour 30 minutes, because you only bath the thing from prayer.
But somebody may tell you that we have music ministry, we have prayer ministry, Pastor Wright Samura. We have music ministry, we have prayer ministry. And past minister here is telling me that a music minister should pray.
Obviously, these are two different ministries. But what I think my brother is trying to say, if you must be effective as a music minister, or whatever you do in the house of God, you cannot de-emphasize the issue of prayer. Because in the place of prayer, you generate power. In the place of prayer, you cultivate the presence of God. And when you cultivate the presence of God, when you come out, there will be a natural outflow of what you've generated. So there are ministers, worship ministers, who have less time to pray and more time to practice. Nothing is wrong with that, because you must spend more time in what you do to improve your skills and become more skillful. But you cannot de-emphasize the place of prayer, because what we do in the church is spiritual, and you need the grace of God, the hand of God, the anointing of God upon your life to function. Therefore, you must pray. So show me a worship leader who prays, and I will show you someone who does not just sing, but he carries God's presence. God is in the worship, and his power is encountered, felt when that worshiper worships. But a man who is just concerned about his skills, the man may have a very good voice, and all that people hear when he sings is just his voice. There is no impact, no transformation, no change. But a man who prays, and then he blends the issue of prayer with his skills, when he ministers, there is impact, there is transformation. The sick get healed, the sick can be healed through worship, the oppressed can be delivered. And David, he operated a deliverance ministry through the playing of instruments. He was not like a pastor in court, but he played instrument, and Saul, who was demonized, who was oppressed, was relieved, was delivered, and became well. So worship ministers should understand the place of prayer, cultivating the anointing while they minister, so that lives can be touched.
Okay, sometimes when people go to evangelize, they have the set of people they go to evangelize to. Now, they cannot go to the ghetto, because they think these people in the ghetto are neglected. They are not fit to be in the community. But Jesus said in the Bible that I did not come for those that are sick, you understand? I come for those that are not sick. And these people are the ones that Christ needs. But most churches, when they go to evangelism, they reject those people. Maybe you can see a born-again Christian can tell you, let me say, like for instance, somebody in the book that, come on, you like myself, now you done so. You understand? Instead of evangelizing to that particular individual by telling him or her, there is a hope for the future. You just need to accept Christ. You just need to hold God. You understand these things. So what can you tell me why people are doing this?
Well, frankly, what you've said it's the truth. You have ministries and pastors who will say they are not called for these classes of people, that is going to the ghettos, going to the slums and minister. There are pastors who will talk like that. But if you understand, if you read the scriptures very well, Jesus came to save the whole world. And salvation is for everyone, including those in the ghetto, including those who are lost, including those who are in the slums, including those who have been deserted by society. And so it's our responsibility as ministers of the gospel, not just to preach the word to the highly placed people in society, but also those who are lowly placed, those who are in slums, those who are in the ghetto, because Jesus came to seek and to save that which is lost. So if they are lost, regardless of who they are and where they are, we must preach to them. Those in government who are lost needs the gospel. Those in the ghetto who are lost needs the gospel. So it's not just about those in the ghetto, because there is a mindset that everyone in the ghetto is lost. That is true. The gospel is for everyone, whether you are highly placed or lowly placed. And so if there are ministers who have no time, they only go for those who perhaps were influential, who are educated, who are blessed, who have money, to reach out to them, and then they're despising those who are poor, broke, who they've given up in life and living a very bad life. I think they are not really fulfilling the ministry of Jesus. When you look at the scriptures, Jesus went everywhere. He went to the villages, he went to the cities, and preached the word to everyone, and then now his disciples commanded us to reach out to the whole world.
Is it the holistic development of a man that you are evangelizing to, or is it based on a spiritual? Because sometimes there are some physical needs that somebody may have. You can evangelize to that particular individual. Spiritually, the spiritual side will be satisfied. What about the physical side?
Now,
what about the emotional
thank
side?
you. When you study the scriptures, you will discover that the ministry of Jesus was holistic. Holistic in the sense, his ministry affected man in every aspect that you can think of, both spiritually, physically, and also economically. Let me give an instance. One day, Jesus had a meeting, and then the people came and they've been with him all through. And the day was about to break. The day was about to end, and it was in the evening hours rather. And then the disciples said, "Send the multitude away that they may go and find food." And Jesus said, "No, we can't send them away. They've been here with us all through the day. Give them something to eat." Now, what was he doing with them all through the day? He was preaching, he was teaching, meeting their spiritual needs. And then when they were about to go, to close the meeting for that day, Jesus knew the people have been with him for a long time and they must be hungry. He said, "Give them something to eat." And the disciples said, "What we have here is just 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish." He said, "Bring it." They brought it, he blessed it, it multiplied and fed the people. And that's a vivid example to let us know God is not only concerned about our spiritual needs, but he's also concerned about our physical needs. So when we go out to minister, our mission is to reach out to the total man. But the emphasis is on salvation. Because once you are saved, seek the kingdom first and his righteousness, every other thing shall be added. So we do not emphasize the meeting the material needs, the physical needs, but we emphasize the meeting of the spiritual needs, because the need of man is actually spiritual. And if you can meet the spiritual need of man, then others will just follow naturally, which is the financial need, the physical need, and what have you. So when we go out, we preach salvation, and then we tell the people God can heal, God can change your life, God can prosper you, God can bless you. And when you trust him and you give your heart to him, it ushers you into a new realm of life where your life begins to change and you begin to see the goodness of God in your life.
Minister Tengbeh, so what role will the music ministry play in dealing with these rejected people in the ghetto? See how you can, like you saying, Pastor Alim is trying to take out the music to the street.
Well, I believe that the music ministry has a lot. It has a lot. One of the things that I believe, if you get down to the slum area, to the ghetto, most of the time you hear the people play music. They play like that culture music, their own kind of stuff, right? So if you had your own method of approaching there, right, to do your evangelism, I believe they will buy it. I have done that before. Of course, I am living at East Station. We have this ghetto, but I have been there. We sat together, sometimes we watch news together, and I say, no, this is what they are doing. Sometimes you make sure you pass your message to somebody that feel annoyed that what you are doing is bad, right? You need to like understand the situation of the person first before you find out and give the solution, right? And I want to be deep. Something happened in our church. Pastor Idiss was saying something. A young lady, she was in I think class 4, going to class 5. She came out with a very good result, but her mother and father don't have this financial support. So then my spiritual father called the young lady, said, What's the problem? I've not been seeing you at school. He said, yes, daddy, my mother and father don't have money for me to go to school. And then my father asked the young lady, how much is the money? It's about 500,000 to 600,000. Then my father called somebody who knows the lady and said, okay, go and give the parents of this young lady the money. And they went and they took the lady to school. Guess what? These people, they are all Muslims. You are talking like about evangelism, and I'm saying, and this is how we nearly took the entire house of the people. I think about 7 or 8 of them, father, mother, sister, auntie. They all went to church on the Sunday, because what daddy has done send a signal, right? And then said to themselves, we have not been seeing this for the past years we have been in this place, but just by what this pastor have done, I think we need to be around this pastor. We need to be part of this ministry. And as I tell you, Brother Ezekiel, now we have the entire family attending.
Okay. Let me just add something. You see, the ministry is not just about healing, but God is also interested in the feeding of people.
Yeah.
And like what his church did, that's fantastic. And I believe there are ministries also who are doing that, and the impact is always good. Now, making reference to the issue of taking the gospel and music to the ghettos, one of the things that I think artists who are listening to us should do, if they must also reach out to those who are in the ghettos, they should trust God for songs that can appeal to them. People in the ghettos, they have the kind of songs
they listen to. It takes another song to renew their mind.
So the style of music and has to appeal to them. And you may not like go there and have a worship concert, but but you can sing a song that they can also play in their ghettos, which carries grace that can impact them and transform them.
Okay, let me hold you right there. Let's go for a break. Remember, the program you're watching is Go Gospel on Star TV channel 21. Welcome again to our top 5 gospel music that are making sounds in Sierra Leone. For our number 5 video is Only You by Ada in Nigeria.
Only you can do what no man can do. Only you can say what no man can say. Only you can change any situation at all. I
number 4 video is Beautiful by David Obot in Sierra.
Saying I say God no be man, God no be man. If God na man, where I for day today. I think I say God no be man, God no be man. If God na man, where I for day today. God, I know I don't deserve all this kind of love that's on my way. You were excellent, you're beautiful, you mean so much to me. I will never bow down, I will never lift my hands, I will never sacrifice to any idol, any god. There is a name above all names, there is a king above all kings, there is a God above all gods. That's why I've been screaming, wonderful, excellent, beautiful. Your name is wonderful, excellent, beautiful. Your name.
Number 3 video is a new video in our top 5 and it's called I Believe, done by Pastor Matthew A. Bangura in Sierra Leone.
I believe in my heart, Sierra Leone will rise again. It's not by might, it's not by power, but by the Spirit of the Lord. I believe in my heart, a generation will not fail the Lord. No matter what the devil does, the counsel of the Lord shall stand. I believe in my heart, Sierra Leone will rise again. It's not by might, it's not by power, but by the Spirit of the Lord. I believe in my heart.
Our number 2 is also a new video done by Pastor Alim Sise and it's called Hold On.
I look to you. You are my strength, you are my help. I trust in you. You are my comfort. Lord, I depend on you. You. Oh, Lord, you have promised you'll always be there. That you will never leave me nor forsake me. Even in the darkest time, through the stormy weather, Lord, it's your hand that I choose to hold. I hold on to your hands. I hold to your changing hands, Lord. I hold on to your hands. I hold to your changing hands, Lord. Somebody help me sing.
Yeah, for our number 1 video, it was on number 2 2 weeks ago and now it's number 1 with an outstanding concept, and this song is called Oye Kaema by Esther Michael in Sierra Leone.
Just a cute boy, MLK on the beat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Onye kayama, nobody like you. Sasa kibuchi, onye njahuza. Onye kayama, nobody like you. Sasa kibuchi, when the man gotta shine on. Make our way to your way, make my way, Lord. Let my enemies see that you are Lord. Over my life, over my family, walk on my hands, bless them entirely. I'm a tree planted by the waterside, like a seed of Lebanon, I shall never die.
That was the top 5 African gospel music that are making sounds in Sierra Leone. Stay tuned next week as we bring in more top 5 music that are making sounds in Sierra Leone. Welcome back, this is Go Gospel and I have with me Pastor Idiss Samura and Minister Tengbeh. Pastor Idiss Samura, now let's talk about the Gilgal program. I had that I'm planning to come with a Gilgal program. What would be this kind of experience?
Okay, firstly, greater evangelism World Crusade has been hosting a monthly program called Gilga Experience. Gilga basically means rolling away of reproach. The vision behind this program is a monthly revival meeting, healing, prophetic, and a deliverance revival meeting that is designed by God for the rolling away of reproach of His people. And so we've been having this program every month since last year, and this month, November, and it runs the last Wednesday to Friday of every month. But the November edition of Leader Experience is going to be a crusade. We've decided to take the crusade to the stadium Kappa. So it's basically a meeting that is designed by God for the rolling away of the reproach of His people. Reproach has to do with barrenness, oppression, failure, sickness, stagnation, sin, and what have you. And we are believing God that doing this program as God has been doing, lives are going to be changed, reproaches are going to be removed from people, barrenness, sickness, affliction shall be eliminated by God's power. So that's basically the concept or the vision of Gilgal Experience.
In the evangelism period that you're planning to go out to evangelize to people to come to this Gilgal Experience, have you thought it fit to go to the ghettos, to go down to people that they feel rejected, that Christianity is not part of their life?
We've been doing that, and the process is still on. The evangelism is still on. We've ensured, we've done, in fact, the publicity we've done for this program, it's so massive. It's more than all other publicities we've done previously. And so we've tried to reach out to people as much as we can, reaching out to them through the radio, through the television, through handbills, through posters, through banners and what have you.
Minister Sahr, Tengbeh, how do you also come into worship program? Why is it that most gospel ministers are based now on having their own personal worship?
Well, so if you can watch my invitation, it's not personal. This worship is for the nation. I might not be like the Kwame Koka now and the Idiss or neither the Sinach, but in my own, I believe God is doing something to my life.
Amen.
So and I taught it, and I had the word, and that's why if you watch the program that I titled this worship concert, it's massive symbol. It's purposely for our nation. If we watch back what has happened in our nation, what has happened in the previous, even now, the only thing we can ask God to do is to have mercy on us. Right? If you watch right now there's a crusade going on. The major thing I believe is happening in the stadium is asking for mercy.
So what has been the role of the gospel musicians in the year of this election coming up? What has been your plan? At least you as gospel music ministers should come together as well, make like prepare like a symposium or like an outreach where you will use the gospel music ministry to sensitize the people about this election. What has been your plan?
Well, by the grace of God, of course, I have started, and this is one way by people being part of the concert, and we do 1 or 2 sensitization before the concert holds. And of course, Pastor Alim is trying to create, just as you have saying, a symposium for us to like go out to the street and say to people that, listen, we are having one of the most tedious time in a nation, and we want Sierra Leone to understand that violence is not the answer. We can stop violence if only we renew our mind. You know, we have this kind of setup going on now by the grace of God. Anytime from now, people will see us in the streets and we believe that we're taking this nation for God. And I want to say something. Worship plays a key role in a nation. I have seen Ghana, I have seen Nigeria, I have seen South Africa. People have prayed in South Africa, people have prayed in Nigeria. But there's one thing that makes that cause breakthrough in the nation. It's worship. You know, and there's a word they say, when praises goes up, blessing comes down. Now, when worship goes up, the blesser himself comes down. So you see the two different. When worship goes up, the blesser himself, that God himself, Bible made us to understand that when Paul and Silas, they are in the prison, right? And they worship God. When Peter was in the prison.
Now, Minister Sahr, you are talking about two things here. talking about praise and you're talking about obedience. Now let me come. Most of you ministers do not have the spirit of humility in your area of your faith.
Yeah.
That causes the problem. Now you're talking about when worship goes up, blessing comes down.
Yeah, the
now
blesser.
now the blesser comes down because the blessing is coming down. The blesser comes down. Now most of you ministers have this problem that you are the one responsible for the spirit of God to come down. So you think that you have been who you are. You understand? So instead of becoming obedient to the word of God, obedience to your servant, to the one that you are serving, to your pastor, instead you take all the glory, you take the praise.
You know, many worshippers don't know their position. The position of a worshipper is an exchange by God. When Satan fell, God used the worshipper to replace Satan. So many worshippers don't know that this was a key role in heaven. It was the major and the key role in heaven Satan was playing. But many worshippers fail to understand. The problem that I have with many worshippers, I'm a worshipper. We don't spend time. So even if you don't spend time, Brother Ezekiel, trust me, you will not even know what is happening. You will not even know what God was saying. You will not even hear from God. No, just as he is the tool, is the fundamental tool. Many worshippers, if you ask them, what was the last thing that God spoke to you last month? You don't even know. If we ask you, what do you mean? Because you know what? The worshipper don't spend time. That's why I said earlier, there is a generator. Now for us to have a light here, there's a generator who generate light. So the source is prayer. I base my worship, I base my entire life on prayer. If you ask about me, they will say, well, sometimes I don't even talk about myself because I allow God to teach me more, to be humble more, to go through things more, for me to learn more. And because when God is about to lift a man, the spirit of pride should be broken. And there's a spirit of humility that comes upon you, because for God don't want to lift a proud man. He said, I bless the humble and resist the proud.
Okay, Pastor,
yes.
as we are around concerning music ministers becoming proud in the church. Like somebody will tell you, feel worship today. Feel worship today. Now miss all the presence of God. We know you understand all that thing now. You say, because I not did this. You see, these are the funny little things. Now minister is saying about worship, when the worship goes on, the blesser comes down. These are the funny little things the church should take note of. Pride is one of the things that destroys a minister, a pastor, and anybody that is working for God. What is your take?
Now, you see, let me establish something here. The move of God in a church through worship is not necessarily because of the person who does the worship.
Yeah.
The Bible says, thou art holy, O thou that inhabits the worship of the Spirit. So whenever worship goes up, God comes down. God is in the worship of his people. So many times, most of these musicians or these worshippers, what they fail to understand, it's not about them. It's about what they do that creates the atmosphere. Whenever worship is done, God is in the worship of his people. And so you see what you see. But however, if you worship and then there is a strong move of God, the anointed moves, it's not for you to take glory for it, take credit for it. Whatever you do, whatever we do in the house of God is what God has enabled us to do, what he has given us grace to do. Therefore, we must blend our giftings with simplicity. We must blend our charisma with character. We must understand the place of humility in carrying out spiritual activities like worship, like prayers. And so you have most of them who are arrogant, those of them who are proud, most of them who are full of themselves, and such people cannot go far. Such people, they can't go far. We've seen a lot of them, and through my years of pastoring, I've had several experiences with gifted musicians who are not spiritual musicians. you can be gifted and not be spiritual. You can be talented and not be anointed. So we have many of them who are talented, they are not anointed, they are gifted, but they are limited. And so every musician should blend humility with their gift if they must go far. And if you must always attract grace and see grace at work, there has to be the blend of humility with what you do.
Okay, finally, what is the date for this experience?
Wow, that's interesting. Gilgal Experience is starting Monday, this coming Monday, the 27th of November to the 1st of December. And the venue of this program is at the Stadium Car Park Brookfields. Every day, 6 o'clock in the evening, 6 to 9. It's going to be an awesome time. The sick will be healed, the oppressed will be healed, those will be delivered, those who are lost will be saved. We have an anointed servant of God in this country, one of the anointed men in this land, Bishop Laga, is going to be ministering. We also have a guest speaker who is coming all the way from Liberia, an apostle. The hand of God is upon him. Miracles are going to happen. Blind eyes will see, deaf ears will hear, the dumb will speak, the barren shall become fruitful. The power of God is going to move. Reproaches in the lives of people are going to be lifted. And by God's grace, I will also be there to minister. And the power of God will do amazing things.
Yeah, Minister Tengbeh, finally.
I want to say out there to people, this worship concert is going to take place at the Zion Place Cathedral, opposite the Lincoln College, East Station, Botomango, on the 3rd. It's going to be the first Sunday of December. You know, it's a very strategic day in the month of December, because in the month of December is the blessed month. And our daddy said that I think October and November is the bad month that had good and bad. But the December month is the blessed month. So, and then God said, I want you to do this worship concert for me on the first Sunday of December. So people of God want to step into another era.
Is this the first time that you have?
No, this is the second concert we are having. And from the first one was awesome. Of course, we are going to have wonderful guests that are spiritual, as Pastor, my brother here is saying. And we have Pastor Matthew Bangura. He's a very good worshiper. We have Pastor Sammy Johnson. These are all pastors. One of the things that people ask me, why do you put pastors? You know, I said to people myself, I said, I don't know why God is using me to use more of pastors. If you watch most of the people that are going to be part, they are all pastors. You Pastor Sammy Johnson, Pastor Matthew Bangura, Pastor Alpha Bangura, and we have Minister Sharif Sise of the Sanctuary. So it's going to be a blend of worship. So you see, it's going to be a presence in a time in the Lord. Okay, so I want you to be part on the 3rd of December, first Sunday, 4:30. It's free. Be part and God will bless you.
Thank you very much, Minister Tengbeh and Pastor Idiss, Wright, Samura. Thank you very much for opening the eyes of people to know that music has a great role to play in evangelism. This is Go Gospel on Star Television, and I am your host, Ezekiel Kabo. Tune in next week, Sunday again, for another edition.
I look to you. You are my strength, you are my help. I trust in you. You are my comfort. Lord, I depend on you. Lord, you have promised you'll always be there, that you will never leave me nor forsake me. Even in the darkest time, through the stormy